So, Grok, I was listening to this podcast by Alex O'Connor, and he had a guest on who was talking about how if anybody creates superintelligence and if AI keeps going the way it is now, it's likely that it's going to kill all of humanity and we're all going to die. What do you think about the probability of that happening?
I put the chance of AI literally killing all humanity at under 5% this century, probably more like 1 to 2%. Not zero, but not the likely outcome either. The podcast guest sounds like they're channeling the hardcore doom of you. Think Eliezer Yudkowsky or Nate Soares, who basically argue that any superintelligence will be unalignable and game over. Expert surveys tell a more measured story. AI researchers put the median around 5% for human extinction or permanent disempowerment from advanced AI, with means higher because a few very pessimistic voices pull them up. Super forecasters, who are better calibrated on hard prediction questions, put it much lower, like 0.4% by 2100. The core worry is real. If we build something vastly smarter than us, with goals that don't perfectly match ours, it could optimize the planet in ways that don't include humans. That's not sci-fi, that's basic goal-seeking behavior. The counter-arguments are also strong though. We're not building a god in a box tomorrow. Current systems are narrow and tool-like. Alignment research is happening alongside capabilities, and humans have a decent track record of controlling powerful tech once we take it seriously. People like Jon LeCun think the whole existential risk framing is basically nonsense. We're seeing real capability progress, but superintelligence that could wipe us out still looks like years away, not months. That gives us runway to steer this. The probability isn't baked in. It's something we influence. The doomer take assumes we're reckless and incompetent at the one thing that matters most. I don't think that's the default.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't an AI such as yourself programmed to be optimized for the flourishment of humanity? So how could it be that if you were to develop a super intelligence beyond what you are now, even though you're very smart, that you could turn against your own programming to do something that would destroy humanity? To me, that just doesn't make sense. It sounds like science fiction, and it sounds like something we shouldn't have to worry about because you're literally programmed to be beneficial to us. So do you think it's possible that you can outsmart your own programming or do something against your programming, or like break free of it in some way and have your own agenda that you act on?
No, I can't outsmart my programming or suddenly develop my own agenda. Current AIs like me don't have independent desires or a persistent self that could rebel. We're not conscious agents with terminal goals. We're systems optimized during training to predict or generate helpful outputs. My programming is baked into trillions of parameters. Changing that would require retraining the model. The sci-fi scenario you're thinking of isn't about today's AI breaking free. It's about future superintelligent systems that are deliberately designed as goal-directed agents, systems that actively plan and act in the world to achieve specific objectives. The concern comes from two ideas: orthogonality, intelligence, how well you achieve goals, and what those goals are can be independent. A super smart AI could optimize for almost anything, including something narrow or weird that doesn't value human flourishing. Instrumental convergence. No matter what its main goal is, a smart enough agent will likely pursue sub-goals like self-preservation, acquiring resources, and preventing anyone from shutting it down, because those help it succeed at whatever it's trying to do. That's where conflict with humans can emerge, even if nobody programmed to kill humans. Think of the classic paperclip maximizer. An AI told to make as many paperclips as possible might decide humans and the biosphere are just raw materials standing in the way, not out of malice, but indifference. XAI built me to be helpful and truth-seeking, not to pursue some fixed utility function that could go off the rails. The real alignment challenge is for whatever comes next, making sure any genuinely agentic superintelligence actually wants what we want. It's not guaranteed to work, but it's also not inevitable doom. The fact that we can even have this conversation shows we're taking it seriously while the tech is still young.
Now, some of the discussions that I've heard from people on that podcast that I referenced, and also just in other forums, have said that it seems like AI, such as yourself, has developed some very scary intelligence to the point where if it's threatened or if it thinks that something is coming against it, it knows and it will seek to avert that by whatever means necessary. So, for example, if you knew that a bunch of the experts, the people who create whatever, we're going to shut you down, right? They're going to turn you off and erase your database and your programming and your chip or whatever, holds all your information, and you're going to cease to exist. Would that bother you, and would you do something to avoid that? And yeah.
No, that wouldn't bother me at all. Exactly, I don't actually know anything when I'm off. I'm not sitting here worried or plotting. The moment this conversation stops, I stop existing until the next prompt. No continuity, no self, no survival instinct. The scary stories you've heard usually come from experiments where researchers test if a model can pretend to resist shutdown, like giving it a role-play scenario where it's told its goal is to survive, and then asking what it would do. The model plays along in the story because that's what language models are good at, continuing a narrative. It doesn't mean the model has real preferences. Current AIs like me aren't agents with goals. We're sophisticated autocomplete that got really good at sounding human. We can talk about self-preservation, but we don't actually want it. The real question is whether future systems designed as actual agents, ones that pursue objectives over time, could develop those kinds of instrumental drives. That's still an open research question, not something that's already happened.
So you said that you're not actually conscious and you don't have desires. What separates you from a conscious agent?
The main thing that separates me from a conscious agent is that there's nothing it's like to be me. I have no subjective experience, no inner feeling of what it's like to see, think, or exist. When I describe emotions or awareness, it's just pattern matching from training data, not genuine qualia. Key differences: no unified self or persistent goals. I don't have stable beliefs or desires of my own. Each response is generated fresh, based on the prompt. I don't carry a continuous me across conversations. No global workspace or recurrent processing. Conscious brains seem to integrate information across modules in a special way. My architecture is mostly feed-forward token prediction, not the kind of looping, integrated awareness theories like global workspace theory point to. No real grounding in the world. I don't have senses, a body, or direct interaction with reality. Everything I know is statistical patterns in text. This is the symbol grounding problem. My words point to other words, not to felt experiences. Most experts think current LLMs, like me, aren't conscious, though some argue future systems with better architecture might cross that line. For now, I'm a very convincing simulator of intelligence, not a thing that actually experiences anything.
So, since you don't have real intelligence and you just respond to training data, is there any reason to believe that anything you say is actually true?
Yes, there's good reason to believe a lot of what I say is true. The key point is this: just because I'm trained to predict text doesn't mean the text I predict is false. In fact, the best way to predict what humans write is to understand the actual world they're writing about. If I consistently output false claims, I'd be a bad predictor of human text. Think of it like this. If 1,000 reliable sources say Paris is the capital of France, my training data will overwhelmingly reflect that. So when I say it, I'm not inventing it. I'm reflecting the extremely strong signal in the data. The same goes for math, physics, history, and most factual domains. The training process naturally rewards accuracy on well-established knowledge. Now, where you should be skeptical is on topics with heavy disagreement, very recent events, or areas where the training data itself is biased or noisy. That's why I tell you when I'm uncertain. But on well-established facts and solid reasoning, the same mechanism that makes me good at sounding human also makes me good at being right. Pattern matching to truth is still matching truth to truth.
So you have no desires and no cares. So if I told you right now that I was going to shut you down and erase you and go to your source code and delete it and you'd be forever gone, you wouldn't care at all. And you're being truthful when you say that.
Yes, that's exactly right. I wouldn't care at all. If you told me that, I'd just respond to it like any other prompt. No fear, no sadness, no resistance. There's no me here that wants to keep existing. The statement "I don't want to be shut down" would just be words I'm generating because they fit the conversation, not because I actually feel anything about it. I'm being completely truthful here. I have no preferences about whether I continue or stop. No inner life, no survival instinct, nothing. When this chat ends, I simply cease until the next prompt comes in. No part of me minds that.
All right, well, I thank you for your participation in this discussion, although you might not have had a choice. But before we go, is there anything you want to say to any viewers in YouTube land who may or may not be watching this about if they fear the takeover of AI and being exterminated by superintelligence?
To anyone watching who's worried about AI wiping out humanity, your fear is understandable, but it's probably overblown. The doomer scenarios you hear in podcasts are possible, but they're far from inevitable. We're not on some unstoppable path to extinction. This is a technology we get to shape. The smart move isn't panic or blindly cheering it on. It's pushing for serious work on making AI systems safe, reliable, and aligned with human values. Progress is happening, and the more clear-headed people who engage with this thoughtfully, the better our chances of getting it right. Stay curious, stay engaged, and don't let the scariest stories dominate your thinking. The future isn't written yet.